Yo, what's going on YouTube? It is your boy Paladin Saffron. I'm back at it again with yet another YouTube video for y'all. And on today's topic, we're basically going to be talking about programming and what kind of programming languages and what kind of programming technologies you should be learning going into 2022, okay? So as you can see, I'm currently on sololearn.com. This is a great website for you to quickly pick up the basics of programming. It's not going to give you no step-by-step walkthrough of how to set up your IDE and this and that, but it's going to give you the basics of the actual language and technology that you should be working with. So I went ahead, and you can't really see, but I made a whiteboard list of all the courses on this, and I'm just going to be covering over what I think as a beginner you should be learning. And even if you're not a beginner, you guys can still watch this, get some insight as to how programmers and are thinking as far as how to learn these kind of technologies. So for me, if you go down a little bit, you can already see I've learned some HTML, JavaScript, CSS. I finished that up, doing some SQL work right now, and then also down here I'm doing jQuery as well. But for y'all, this is what I think you should do. So there's two kind of programmers. Obviously you have like programmers like who know programming languages, and then there's a thing called web developer, and web developers know markup languages, and markup languages are different than programming languages. Programming languages are like Python, Java, JavaScript, C++, Ruby, these kind of things. They're programming languages, but markup languages like CSS and HTML are different. But the number one, if you're just beginning, I would say learn HTML number one. So start off with HTML, finish that course, learn how to make a basic website layout. Then number two, learn CSS. Once you learn the HTML, you use the CSS to kind of style the page, make the page look pretty and stuff, and then to get even more, then move on to your first programming languages. And I'm going to say start off with JavaScript. JavaScript, it's very powerful, number one, because it can be used on the web very fast. You can deploy a website really fast with just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and just keep continuously updating that website. So number one, learn these three things: HTML, CSS, then JavaScript. Then you should move into a programming language that will increase your knowledge on data types, classes, loops. Just give you more concrete. Yeah, you'll learn some of this different stuff. You'll learn some of that stuff in JavaScript, but you're gonna learn definitely a lot more knowing an actual programming languages like Java or C++ or Python or whatever. Now, I kind of know Python, but if I had to recommend one, I would definitely say after JavaScript, you should learn Python. Not only is it going to be very quick to pick up, very quick to learn, the syntax for it is just way too easy to make mistakes on. Obviously, with you can make mistakes on Python, syntax, but it's so simple to learn. So, and Python is becoming one of the most popular programming languages. You might as well learn it. Now, after you learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then Python, it is kind of a toss-up in the air. It kind of depends on where you're trying to go from there. Are you trying to just make a back-end stuff? Are you trying to make front-end stuff? Are you trying to make mobile? What are you trying to do specifically? But if you ask me, I think you need to go into PHP. Now, you might think and be like, okay, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then I learned Python. Now I'm going to PHP. Isn't PHP going down in popularity and trend? Yeah, that's true, but you got to remember, 70% of the web is built upon PHP. Yeah, popularity is going down because JavaScript has new features coming in and this and that, whatever. You could use Python with Django and Flask frameworks to make web apps and all this sort of stuff. But honestly, the reason I say you need to learn PHP, if you go down here, is you need to know how to connect to a database. And PHP is going to be that database that's going to help you quickly connect to a MySQL, program, MySQL database, so you can start updating, and then you can deploy PHP and MySQLs right away. I have yet to learn how to deploy on the actual live web, but I have used PHP to access, databases and stuff. And the cool thing about PHP is you can use PHP on the same documents that you use your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's just like addition to your front end web developer stuff. You got the front end down, you got some back end with JavaScript and stuff, and PHP can be a back end language too, but it just makes it very simple to connect to SQL. So I would say once you learn PHP, you learn how to connect to databases, then you go into the SQL tutorials right here. As you can see, I'm already started it, but you're going to hop into SQL and you're going to learn how to use basic SQL commands. So you can update, insert, create, delete, all sorts of tables and rows for your databases. Now, after that, it's kind of a toss-up. Me personally, I say you got the HTML down, you got your CSS down, you got your JavaScript backend, you got a programming languages that strengthens your, and I say Python only because it's popular. If you learn Python, you could get a job easily. That's all I'm gonna say. A lot of people are using Python these days. It's going up in popularity. Have to use it, So that Python will strengthen your JavaScript programming language. Then with the PHP, you immediately can connect to a database, and then now you got front end down, you got back end down, you got programming logic down. Next thing you know, you're connecting into a database, and it's not like you're using some separate language. Yeah, you're using a separate language in addition on top of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So that's why you need to learn PHP. Even if you're not going to use it forever, you can't deny the statistics. 70% of the web is built on PHP still, it's going down in popularity, but it's still widely used, and you're going to need it, and it's the easiest to get into using databases, unless you go the route of Node.js and stuff like that, which is very complicated for beginners to start off, to begin with. So now that you got PHP down, where would I say you go from there? Now, there's plenty of ways you could go. Jquery, I'm going to throw it as an honorable mention. I'm not going to say if you should learn it or not, because you could do plenty of Jquery stuff with JavaScript, but I'm just saying Jquery, learning it is very fast to learn. It's very simple to learn, and you could probably completely learn it in like 1 to 3 days, depending on how you go about it. In 1 to 3 days, if you do like 3 to 4 hours a day, you will know jQuery. Very simple. I'm gonna throw it in as an honorable mention for you to learn anyways, because you can see how I'm going about this as the web developer route. And the reason I'm going the web developer route is because, say you start off with C or C++ or Java. Okay, cool. You make a lot of console applications, right? But these console applications aren't going to land you a good enough job versus if you had if like your web developer kind of background, because that way you'll be full stack, Because I made plenty of C++ programs, I made plenty of Java programs, but they're just not as good as, a simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript webpage, because you could deploy it, people can click it, it's visually good looking, aesthetic, and click something, back end programming happens, and that's why I'm saying, like, take the web developer route and pivot into whatever position you want as full stack developer or back end developer or front end developer or AI or machine learning or data science, whatever. This is why I incorporated the Python in it. But now, so I do jQuery as an honorable mention, but then from there I'm gonna throw in another honorable mention. It's kind of like, once you get this down, you learn how to make UIs, you learn how to do some backend stuff, you learn how to connect to databases. It's kind of up to you, like, where are you trying to go from there? And you could choose too. You could choose either Kotlin or you could choose Swift. Swift is obviously for iOS programming. If that's what you want to do, you want to be a developer for Macs and iPhones, do Swift. Do you want to be a developer for Android? Kotlin's a very new language, but it's getting up in popularity very fast, and people love it. People are loving Kotlin. I haven't learned it yet, and like I wouldn't even think about languages like Go or Ruby or R or any of that at the moment. So after, once again to recap, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, PHP, and I'm gonna skip the honorary mentions because then we're gonna jump into another programming languages. So it's kind of a toss-up here. C++, Java, and C# are all great things to learn. I would recommend Java because Java Enterprise is just so much Java code out there. Java developers are pretty much everywhere. They're very popular. Java is here to stay for a long time, even if it won't last forever. It's here to stay for a pretty long time for now. C++ is older than Java, but C++ is really good if you're trying to get into like hardware. If you want to like eventually, and C too, you know, you want to get into like making software that works on like hardware components, you know, like microwaves or like TVs or this or whatever kind of technology you want to make. You want to program it. C++ is the route you got to go. And obviously with Java you can make mobile apps too. I personally like Java better because I just like the freedom, the flexibility it comes with classes and stuff. C++, it is way more structured, but at this point you should probably, you with the technologies I already told you, if you get pretty good at them, you make some projects, you put them out there, you start making some applications, you start applying for stuff. Whoops. You start applying for stuff, you're definitely going to land a job. And then from there, it's up to you. You can learn C#, you can learn Java, you can learn C++, whatever. But that's pretty much it. And these things like R language and Ruby, and these ones, like, they're kind of played out. Like, I mean, not played out. And Go, like, Go's too new. R, okay, yeah, whatever. Ruby, yeah. I guess Twitter uses it. But that's when you want to get specific into, you understand things. But I'm going to leave it at that as a general video for you guys. So, that was pretty much what I think y'all should be learning in 2022 as far as programming, web development, software development, back-end development, front-end development, full-stack development, software engineer, data science, machine learning, computer science, all these kind of things. This is what I think as a programmer, I think you guys should learn. And thanks for watching. If you guys have any comments you want to leave them below, leave a like, and I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.